Right now, we are watching Drew spiral into a terrifying state of absolute control. After surviving that horrible, near-drowning incident in the lake thanks to Geo, and yielding to Jack's ruthless blackmail demands, Drew is a man who feels entirely cornered by the world. His deep, festering resentment towards Willow and Nina is bleeding into every single aspect of his daily life, but his most dangerous fixation has become his young daughter, Scout. He is completely obsessed with keeping her away from Jason and the rest of the family, especially now that Jason has returned and officially left the mob to focus entirely on Danny. Drew vehemently opposes Jason's gentle request to let Danny and Scout spend quality time together, going so far as to issue a stern, chilling threat to Jason. Drew is tightening his grip, watching Scout's every move, and suffocating the poor girl under the false guise of paternal protection. But that's not even the craziest part. Scout is no longer a little girl who can be easily manipulated or pushed around by the adults in her life. As an older teenager, she is fiercely perceptive, and she can feel the invisible walls closing in on her every single day. She knows that her father is hiding something dark, and she feels the heavy, oppressive weight of his constant, paranoid surveillance. If you ask me, Drew's suffocating control is the exact catalyst that pushes Scout to her absolute breaking point. Feeling trapped and desperate for freedom from her father's chaotic world, Scout turns to the one person she trusts implicitly, her brother, Danny. Danny, who has been fiercely protected by Jason and is trying to navigate his own complicated life after the WSB drama, realizes that his sister is in severe emotional peril. Together, these two brave siblings hatch a desperate, incredibly risky plan. They decide that the only way to find peace is to pack their bags and secretly run away from Port Charles under the cover of darkness. I can already picture the cinematic intensity of this scene, guys. It is a cold, foggy night in Port Charles when Danny and Scout slip out into the shadows, leaving all of their comforts and security behind. They are navigating the dark, winding roads, their hearts pounding loudly in their chests, terrified that Drew or the police might catch them before they can cross the city limit. But they are fiercely determined. They are bonded by the shared trauma of losing their mother and the relentless chaos of their respective fathers' dangerous lives. Danny is stepping up, acting as the protective older brother he was always meant to be, while Scout is constantly looking over her shoulder, haunted by the creeping feeling that her father's eyes are still locked onto her. And she is absolutely right to be paranoid, because Drew is not the kind of man who just lets go of his possession. Unbeknownst to the runaway siblings, Drew has already noticed Scout's unusual behavior leading up to their escape. His paranoia is at an all-time high, and his tracking instincts instantly kick in when he finds a room empty. Drew is silently stalking them through the rainy night, keeping a safe distance in the shadows so he will not be spotted by Dan. He is utterly convinced that Scout is trying to sneak off to see Jason or the rest of the family, and he is determined to catch her in the act and drag her back under his strict control. Drew is completely unprepared for the reality of where this pursuit is actually going to lead him. He thinks he is just dealing with a rebellious teenager, completely oblivious to the fact that his obsessive stalking is about to lead him straight into a jaw-dropping twist that will alter the fabric of this show forever. But that's not even the craziest part. As Danny and Scout make their way through the desolate, wooded outskirts of town, shivering and exhausted from their journey, a sleek, dark car suddenly pulls up beside them on the dirt road. A mysterious woman steps out into the thick fog. She is heavily disguised, wearing a wide-brimmed hat, a thick scarf pulled up over her face, and a long, dark trench coat that completely conceals her figure. At first, the teenagers are terrified, ready to bolt into the dense woods to escape. But the woman speaks to them in a soft, urgent, and eerily familiar tone that freezes them in their tracks. She tells them that she knows exactly who they are, she knows that they are in grave danger on the streets, and she promises to take them to a safe sanctuary where no one, not even Drew, can ever find them. Driven by a mix of sheer exhaustion and an inexplicable sense of deep trust, Danny and Scout climb into the stranger's car. The mysterious woman drives them far away from the city limits, deep into the remote, wooded hills surrounding Port Charles, finally arriving at an isolated, heavily fortified cabin. It is a place completely off the grid, a perfect hiding spot for someone who never wants to be found by the authorities or their enemies. Inside, a warm fire is crackling in the hearth, and the atmosphere is a stark contrast to the cold, dangerous world the children just fled. But outside, lurking in the freezing rain, is Drew. He has followed the tire tracks all the way from the main road. He has tracked his daughter to this remote location with the precision of a predator. He creeps up to the cabin window, wiping the heavy condensation from the glass, his eyes narrowing as he peers inside, ready to bust down the wooden door and unleash his fury on whoever dared to take his daughter away from him. But before Drew can even raise his fist to strike the door, The mysterious woman standing in the center of the warm cabin reaches up and slowly removes her hat and scarf. Ladies, when I tell you that the collective gasp of the viewing audience will be heard around the entire world, I mean it with every fiber of my being. The woman standing there, looking at her beautiful children, with tears streaming down her face, is none other than Sam. Yes, you heard me right. Sam is alive. This is the absolute bombshell that we have all been praying for since the day we were told she was gone. The mother who was supposedly lost to us, the fierce woman who survived countless tragedies, is standing right there in the flesh. She never died. She has been out there this entire time, fighting to survive and waiting for the perfect moment to reclaim her beloved children. But wait, because the shocks just keep on coming, and they are hitting harder than ever. As Sam embraces a sobbing, utterly stunned Scout and Danny, another figure steps out from the dark shadows of the cabin's hallway. It is Marco! We were all led to believe, based on Sunny's shocking revelation to Jens, that Ross had brutally killed Marco. But this is a classic, brilliant, long-buried secret coming to the light. Sam must have secretly saved Marco after the chaotic events that supposedly claimed their lives. She pulled him from the brink of death, and together they fled to this secluded sanctuary to heal and hide from the dangerous enemies that wanted them both permanently silenced. For months, Sam and Marco have been living completely off the grid, hiding under assumed identities, and quietly monitoring every single move happening in Port Charles. They have been watching over Danny and Scout from afar, waiting until it was safe to finally intervene. But that's not even the craziest part. Think about the sheer agony these children have endured, ladies. For months, we have watched Danny struggle to keep his head above water, trying to be the strong anchor for his sister while his own heart was shattered into a million pieces. He has been navigating the treacherous waters of his father's mob ties, getting arrested, and covering up crimes for Rocco, all while grieving the woman who gave him life. And Scout? She has been a pawn in a twisted game of parental chess, suffocated by a father who uses her as a shield against his own deep insecurities. The trauma these two siblings share is a heavy, suffocating blanket. So, when they stand in that rustic cabin and look into the eyes of the woman who used to sing them to sleep, it is not just a reunion, it is the breathtaking resurrection of their very soul. Inside that cabin, a scene of pure, unadulterated emotional devastation and joy is unfolding before our eyes. Scout, who has been so suffocated and broken by Drew's dark descent, completely breaks down. She lets out a gut-wrenching sob and throws herself into Sam's arms, clinging to her mother as if she will evaporate into thin air if she lets go. Danny, the tough young man who has been trying so hard to be strong and stoic like Jason, finally lets his guard down and cries freely, wrapping his arms securely around the mother he thought he would never see again. Even Marco is standing there with tears welling in his eyes, witnessing the beautiful, heartbreaking reunion of a family that was shattered by lies and violence. It is a moment of profound healing for these two kids who have been through absolute hell. But outside, peering through that wet, foggy glass, is Drew. And if you ask me, the psychological warfare happening inside Drew's mind right now is the most fascinating and terrifying part of this entire story. He followed Scout into the dark woods solely to assert his dominance, to tear her away from Jason and Danny, and to drag her back to his isolated, highly controlled world. He was absolutely, completely unprepared for this reality. Seeing Sam alive, seeing the fierce woman he once loved, the mother of his child, standing right there hits him like a massive freight train. He is paralyzed by the sheer shock of it all. He watches silently as Scout looks at Sam with a level of pure love, trust, and adoration that she has never, ever shown him. Drew is forced to face a brutal, agonizing truth as he stands soaking wet in the freezing rain. Despite all of his manipulative efforts, despite his constant surveillance and his desperate attempts to rewrite Scout's life, his daughter still desperately loves her mother more than anything. She wants to be with Sam. She wants the freedom, the warmth, and the unconditional love that Sam represents, not the suffocating, paranoid control that Drew provides. The realization burns him to his very core, lighting a fire of jealousy and rage. He is standing at a incredibly dangerous crossroads. He has the physical power to kick that door open, storm into the cabin, shatter this beautiful reunion, and physically drag Scout away from the only happiness she has felt in months. But Drew is a man who has learned how to play a very twisted, strategic game. He knows that if he reveals himself right now, if he bursts into that room in a fit of rage, Sam and Marco will undoubtedly vanish into the wind once again, and he might lose access to Scout forever. So, what does he do? He makes the most sinister, calculated decision possible. Drew slowly backs away from the window, melting back into the dark shadows of the wet woods. He decides to keep his mouth firmly shut. He is going to keep the monumental secret that Sam and Marco are alive strictly to himself. By staying silent, Drew can turn this explosive truth into the ultimate lever. He can weaponize this secret against Jason, against Sunny, and against Sam herself when the time is perfectly right. And that, my friends, leaves us with the most terrifying dynamic we have seen on this show in years. Drew knows that Sam is alive and hiding in the woods. Sam has absolutely no idea that Drew has discovered her sanctuary. And poor, innocent Scout is sitting by the warm fire, holding her mother's hand, completely unaware that her father is lurking just outside in the darkness, plotting his next sinister move. The board is set, the pieces are in place, and if Sam ever discovers that Drew has been watching them from the shadows, this battle for Scout is going to erupt into a war that will leave Port Charles in ashes. Will Drew use this secret to destroy Jason, or will Sam strike first to protect her kid? You tell me, 'cause I am shaking, just thinking about it.